Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. We have an awesome session lined up today. And just a heads up, I will be doing a mindful eating exercise in a few minutes. So if you want to participate, please get an almond or a raisin or something of a similar size. Hi, Jen.
Hi, good afternoon.
So nice to see you. Thank you for joining us today.
Nice to see you too. I'm so happy to be here.
Awesome. And hello to our audience. Thank you again for tuning in. My name is Amy Takamura, and I am a registered dietitian and wellness manager with Russian Associates. I work in food service operations and manage the wellness initiatives at my account. I also do a fair bit of collaborating with other groups and professionals to prevent and share wellness information with you all. And I have the pleasure of presenting today with Jennifer Moniz, who is a certified yoga teacher and meditation facilitator. She's also the founder and director of the Meditation Lab. And so I'll turn it over to you, Jennifer, to tell us a little bit more about who you are in your business.
Wonderful. Well, I'm really happy to be here. It's nice to connect with you all. I started my business, the Meditation Lab, about 5 years ago after having taught meditation and yoga in yoga studios all throughout New York. And for the past 5 years, I have been sharing mindfulness tools and techniques to small businesses and large corporations, as well as public and private school students and faculty throughout New York, sharing strategies to help people quiet their minds and settle their energy. So it's really nice to be here with you all and have the opportunity to share some of these strategies.
Thank you so much. And for those who don't know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. So obviously this is a very big topic with many factors that can influence our mental health. And so today we are going to touch on 2 strategies that can have a positive influence. I'm going to talk about mindful eating and nutrients to support mental health. And Jen is then going to talk about meditation and the mind-body connection and actually take us through a guided meditation at the end. So to get things started, I want us to do a short mindful eating exercise. So make sure you have your almond or raisin in front of you. So I want you all to find a quiet space without too many distractions. Are you indoors or outdoors? Are you comfortable? And are you breathing naturally? So next, I want you to pick up the almond in front of you and look at it. We eat with our eyes first. So how does it look and feel? You know, what color is it? Does it look dry, salty, crunchy? Next, I want you to place the almond in your mouth without chewing. How does it taste? Is it warm or cold or neither? What is the texture like? And so now I just want you to slowly begin chewing. As your thoughts wander, try to bring yourself back to the food that you're chewing in front of you. Resist the urge to rush. Slow down and be present while eating. And keep in mind, you know, if your thoughts wander, that's totally okay. Just try to bring it back to the present moment. And you can continue this practice with as many almonds as you'd like. Take your time and eat until you are satisfied. And so mindful eating helps us savor our food and eat with intention. While this exercise may seem silly, when practiced often enough, it may help increase food enjoyment, reduce overeating, and help us have a better connection with our food. So I hope you enjoyed that little exercise, Jen.
Oh, that was wonderful.
Good, glad to hear. So many of you may be thinking, you know, how is mindful eating related to mental health? Well, as you just experienced, if you did the exercise, mindful eating is about focusing on the present moment while acknowledging and accepting your feelings, thoughts, bodily sensations, anything that's going around in the environment that you're in as well. Mindful eating helps you learn to listen to your body and get back in touch with the experience of eating and enjoying our food, and which can improve our mental health. There is also something called the brain-gut connection. And while our gut and brain are not next to each other, they are physically connected through something called the vagus nerve. And this means signals from your brain can influence gut health, and what you eat can influence your mind. For example, if you are stressed, your brain releases hormones that slow down your digestion and can increase inflammation in your gut. When you eat a nutrient-dense food like a piece of fruit, like an apple, for example, the vitamins like fiber support the good bacteria in your gut, which in turn supports brain health. And so, this is not to say that diet alone can or will fix everything, but there are a few foods and nutrients to include in your diet that supports mental health. And the first is omega-3 fats. And so while they are commonly associated with heart health, studies have shown a strong link between omega-3s and reduced risks of developing dementia, depression, and anxiety. So foods high in omega-3s include fatty fish like salmon and sardines, nuts like almonds and walnuts, seeds, and foods containing algae like seaweed. Another nutrient is zinc. So studies have shown that zinc supplementation may help reduce symptoms of depression, and research is still in very preliminary stages, but we do know enough to support regular consumption of zinc-rich foods for mental health, and not to mention immune health. Foods high in zinc include legumes, shellfish like shrimp, as well as nuts and seeds. And B vitamins are also important. In particular, vitamins B12 and B9 or folate. These appear to reduce stress and inflammation in the brain. So vitamin B12 is found primarily in animal-based foods like fish, meat, dairy, eggs. If you're a vegan, you want to get your vitamin B12 levels checked regularly. Vitamin B9 or folate is found in leafy greens like spinach, kale, collard greens, as well as nuts and seeds. And lastly, make sure you're getting enough vitamin D. Low levels of vitamin D have been associated with increased risk of depression and seasonal affective disorder, also called the winter blues. Sun exposure is one of the best ways to get vitamin D, but it can be very difficult during the winter. So make sure you're eating your foods that are rich in vitamin D, like fatty fish, salmon and sardines, egg yolks, and fortified foods like breakfast cereals and milks. Make sure you read the label to ensure your foods are fortified. The nutrition label will tell you whether or not it is. And to further emphasize this brain-gut connection, there's also a very interesting detail regarding serotonin. That's the neurotransmitter that most of us associate with improved moods. Well, 95% of our serotonin is actually produced in our guts. There are billions of good bacteria lining our digestive tract that play an essential role in making this happen. So a healthy gut really does support your mood and how you feel. But remember, what you eat is not the only thing that influences your health. The best diet is one that works for you and your body. There are certain foods, of course, that we know have wonderful nutritive properties like fruits and vegetables, whole grains, more plants in general. But that's not to say you have to only eat these foods. In fact, the hallmark of a healthy diet, in my opinion, is one that has variety and not all quote unquote healthy foods. Restriction or eating certain items is not sustainable and often leads to a binge restrict cycle. And this is not a good place to be in for your mental health or your bodily health. And I think mindful eating, taking a step back and really listening to your body can help you achieve a healthy eating that works for you. So given this strong mind-body, brain-gut connection, it should come as no surprise that in addition to what you eat, other tools such as meditation, breathing exercises, yoga, they've all been shown to help improve mood and decrease anxiety. And so now I want to pass it over to Jen to dive a little deeper into how tools like meditation and yoga can help improve well-being and share ways that we can all benefit from it.
Thanks, Amy. I love how you were talking about the importance of exposing some of the myths around nutrition. There are so many myths around meditation and mindfulness as well. And I happen to hear that from students all the time, especially from many new meditators. There's no way that I'm going to be able to do something like this because I can't really stop my thoughts. And that's especially true in challenging times like these when obviously we all have a lot on our minds. The good news is that you don't have to stop your thoughts in order to meditate. I think that's like the number one myth around the practice. And in fact, some of the most valuable parts of meditation come precisely when you've noticed that you've been distracted. So let's breaking down just what I think you really need to understand about the practice before we kind of dive in. Number one, we can't stop our thoughts, right? That thinking is what the brain does. So we're not going to be able to stop it from doing what it does. It was designed hundreds and thousands of years ago through evolution to think. And that's important. It spots threats and it instinctively tries to avoid them. And that's simply to keep you safe, right? Recognizing that your mind or your brain is constantly planning or feeling or worrying, just know that's what it does. So when we sit down to meditate, that's just what it continues to do. If you understand that, I think it eliminates some of the frustration and some of this failed meditator syndrome that often comes up for people who practice right away and then just quit because somehow they feel like they just knew it wasn't for them. I think one of the biggest complaints from meditators is that they feel like their mind is all over the place. In these mindfulness meditation practices, I'm going to be giving you an anchor, something you can connect to around the breath. So whether we're counting the breaths or we're counting the beats to the breath, or we're noticing the sensations or the feelings of the breath, all of these simple strategies are designed to keep you connected to the present moment, using the breath as the way or the anchor to keep you grounded or steady. Please know that this workshop that we're offering is intended for those who have not practiced ever before. So if you're new to meditation, this is perfect for you. And certainly if you have experience, that's wonderful too. But these are very simple tools that will just help you stay focused and help you connect deeper to this idea of linking breath to mind-body connection. Here's my very last thing. Please don't be too hard on yourself. The point of mindfulness meditation is not to stop thinking. And so it's not to beat yourself up about it when you don't. It's just to recognize with a calm, clear, hopefully loving attitude when your mind has wandered and you just follow my instructions, you bring it back to the breath and back to our counting exercise that we'll do. So to begin, I thought we'd start with some centering and moving and breathing, and then we'll transition right into the meditation. All you need to do is find yourself in a chair, sitting up nice and tall so that your spine is straight, feet are grounded on the floor. Now, I think it's a nice time to close your eyes if that feels comfortable with you. If not, you can allow your gaze to be downcast. I'm going to let you make that decision for yourself. To begin, we'll place one hand on our heart and one hand on our belly, relaxing the elbows down and taking a few long, deep breaths. In this opening, settling practice, I'll invite you to notice where you feel the distinctions of your breath most clearly. Where are the sensations strongest for you? Maybe at your nose, maybe at your chest, or possibly around your abdomen. There's no right or wrong here. Just guide your attention to where those sensations are clearest and let it rest there. If it's helpful, introduce a mental note, a label describing the sensation of the breath. So if at the nose, maybe the note is tingling, vibration, warm, cool. If at the chest, maybe the note is rising or falling to support your awareness of the breath. And at the abdomen, maybe that note is expanding, contracting. Good. Now just relax your hands on your knees. You can keep your eyes closed. And I'll guide you to count the beats to your inhale and the beats to your exhale. We're not trying to manipulate or change the breath in any way. Just notice how it's appearing and notice how it's changing. Now, as best you can you add 2 beats to the exhale, starting to lengthen and deepen your breath? Notice how this feels in your body. Notice how this feels in your mind. If it's comfortable for you, consider the idea of placing a soft pause at the top of the inhale before you enjoy that long, slow exhale. In that soft pause, you may notice that there's a slight space between thoughts. See if you can savor that space. And then when you're ready, just lower your chin down to your chest so that you can slowly begin to open your eyes and enjoy taking in the room around you. And then you can slowly lift your chin. So that's just a nice opening way to start the practice. You can do that exercise anywhere you like, the hand belly breath. But I thought, Amy, we would move into some simple movements because oftentimes people are at their desk all day. They feel a little bit of tension in their shoulders or their back. They may not even realize that they do. And oftentimes moving and breathing is another form of mindfulness that people aren't always aware of. So we'll take our arms out to the side. Just feel a stretch and a release as you open your fingers nice and wide. Enjoy a couple of breaths here, softening your shoulders away from your ears. And then when you're ready, reach your arms up and over your head, please. So the arms are going to go all the way up, fingertips towards the ceiling. And we're going to interlace our fingers and press our palm surface way up in the air. So we enjoy that opening through the hands and through the fingers, which should feel pretty nice. Taking a long, deep breath in. And as you exhale, arms go back out to the side, and we're going to take a little lean. So the right hand goes down and the left arm goes up and over, and you start to lean over to the right. Now for me, I tuck my chin and turn it towards my right shoulder, and that just helps me release a little tension through the side of the neck. Good, following the inhale to the top and following the exhale to the bottom. Nice. Now take your time, come back to center slowly, arms out wide, and we'll try the other side. So left hand down, right arm up and over, and here I go. I'm turning my chin now to my left shoulder, taking a long, deep breath in and a long, deep breath out. Sometimes I think about that breath having a beginning, a middle, an end. In the same way, the out breath, beginning, middle, end. And then you come back to center slowly and you relax that arm. Good. Just one more little simple stretch, a twist. So the left hand goes on the right knee and the right hand slips behind the back. You could hold on to the side of your chair if you want, either way, but we lengthen the spine as we breathe in and we start to twist to the right as we breathe out. I really like this one. Every time I inhale, I'm sitting up tall. And with each exhale, I'm starting to deepen that twist, letting the shoulder blades move down my back. Good. One more time. And then you slowly come back to center, releasing out of the stretch. Nice. And we'll try the other side. So right hand to left knee and left hand slips behind. And here I am. I'm going to rotate over to the left. Good. Breathing in and breathing out. One more time. And then we come back to center. All right. Last stretch. Hands are going to go behind the head. I kind of slip my hands right at the the base of my skull, and I'm going to pull the elbows in and tuck my chin into my chest. Yeah, this is kind of nice, Amy. Just take a few breaths here, feeling that release through the back of the neck. And if you want, you can turn your chin slightly to the right and enjoy a few breaths there. And then you come back to center and turn the chin slightly to the left. Wonderful. And then you come back to center and you lift the chin and you relax the arms down. Good. So from here, let's prepare for our meditation. In our meditation, you're going to need to make yourself comfortable. So if you need to back up against your chair so you feel the support behind you, if you need to come over to a wall where you feel support, nothing is more important than having a sense of comfort and ease as we approach the practice. So to begin, let's take a moment, set our hands on our knees or our thighs, close our eyes, and enjoy a few long, deep breaths. Good. Just like we did at the beginning of the practice, go back to the idea of noticing where you feel the sensations most distinctly. And then as best you can, working to lengthen or extend the out breath so that you feel your body begin to settle, your nervous system begin to calm. Good. Now, let's slowly begin to draw our attention and our awareness to our mindfulness exercise. We're going to be counting our breaths, but we'll be counting backwards. So enjoy a long, deep breath in. Make a little mental note of the word in. And then as you exhale, see if you can hear the number 20 quietly in your head. Try it again, breathing in, and the note is in. And as you exhale, hearing the number 19. Now your job is to continue on your own, working your way from 20 to 0. Recognizing that the note and the count are simply tools to direct our attention and keep it centered and anchored on the breath. Now, it's only natural that your mind will wander. You may be at 14, 13, wherever you are in the count, and you find yourself hopping on some sort of train of association, getting lost in a thought. That's okay. In fact, it's actually a moment to celebrate. When it happens, all I need you to do is recognize it, simply come back to the count, come back to the breath, and begin again. I like to think of this exercise as a mental skills training. Just the way we go to the gym and we strengthen our physical body, here we are strengthening our mind. We're training it to stay connected to this one specific task. And lastly, every time you let go of that thought or you let go of that association, I encourage you to let go gently. Don't beat yourself up or give yourself a hard time. Maybe even a soft smile as you're working through the exercise. Meeting this moment, meeting this breath, one breath at a time. And then when you're ready, you can lower your chin to your chest. You can slowly open your eyes and you can begin to take in the room around you. Wonderful. How was that, Amy? Okay?
That was fantastic.
Oh,
I need
great.
to do more of exactly what we just did on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think that is one of the most challenging things is for people to find the time to create these sort of moments for themselves. And it's one of the most essential things that we talk about really is the end of this session is how do I find ways to integrate these little 5-minute brain breaks into my day? And what are the best ways to do that so that I'll stick with the process.
Definitely. And, I do have a question for you.
Mhm.
How do I know if I'm, doing it the right way? Because as someone who doesn't meditate often, well, I need to, sometimes I'm not sure if it's right.
No, that's a very good question. I think one of the most difficult pieces for new meditators is that somehow there is this association that there is a right or a wrong. So I think my answer to that would be number one, if you're carving out 3 minutes to close your eyes and connect with your breath, there is nothing that you need to be doing other than that. You can't be doing anything wrong. It is natural though to judge the experience. Somehow we put a label on it, and sometimes you will sit and feel very comfortable and relaxed. And other times you'll find that your mind is all over the place. And so somehow you might view that as a bad meditation versus a good meditation. But what I ask participants really to stay connected to is that you're engaging in this mental activity of metacognition, which I know sounds like a big word, but it really just means that all we're asking you to do is be aware of the thoughts in your mind. You're witnessing whatever thoughts or emotions are arising rather than just getting stuck in feeling them, right? So that's really the meditation goal. Mine is, oh, I noticed my mind was wandering. I moved away from the count. I'm going to come back and begin again. That's how you're doing it right, not how many times your mind wanders, not judging that number.
Thank you for that. I think, that's important to remember that, like you said, there is no right way, which, we do kind of tend to think that if, we don't do it a certain way, it's not going to benefit us. But that's good to know that, it's just what you feel and what you feel with your mind. Like you said, if it wanders, just bring it back. There's really no right amount of times for it to wander or not wander. So I think that that's useful for me too. And I'll definitely take that with me as I dive deeper into this practice. I do have another question for you. What is the best time of day that we should be doing this? I hear people say they like to do it in the morning, right when they wake up to get energized, or as wind down to go to bed. So is there really a right time?
I like that question. So one thing I would say is that rather than prompting yourself to be mindful throughout the day, which initially takes more discipline, identifying one period of time in your day, whether it's morning, lunchtime, or evening, that you know that you'll be able to have 5 minutes to have some sort of concentrated practice. I think that's first. And I know for myself, it's right in my phone. I'll look at my day and I'll say, okay, I'm going to take this time at 9 in the morning, and then I'm going to take this time at 1:30. Like I create little pauses in my day based on what that day looks like. If you want to have, and those are for little pauses, one larger period of time for myself is always best in the morning. But that's because for me, if somehow I'm waiting to find the perfect time to meditate, that's just never going to happen. There is no time instinctively where your mind actually wants to shut down or disconnect from visual stimulation and all that's going on in the world around us. So there is not going to be that magic moment where you're yearning to sit down at your chair and close your eyes. Initially, it's so important. Create a practice where it is connected to an existing habit that you already have. Whether it's I drink a cup of coffee in the morning and then I meditate, or I brush my teeth and then I meditate, because research shows that when we do that, connecting this habit, a new one, to an already existing habit, we tend to be much more successful in carrying it forward through our day. But I would say this, Amy, and I think this is important. We need to start small. I know sometimes I'll run workshops or seminars and students will say, oh my gosh, that was so great. I'm going to do this for 20 minutes every day. And the first thing I say is like, oh my goodness, don't even set that goal for yourself, because I think you only end up disappointed. It's almost like eating a little bit. If the goals are too lofty and then we can't achieve them, then we end up frustrated and almost sabotaging our own experience. So thinking about 3 to 5 minutes each day, I think is a good start. And maybe even the expression daily-ish, doesn't have to be every day, but most days. I think that's a good beginning.
And I love what you said about, tying it back to eating. I think it applies to, all aspects of life. If you set your goal too high and you don't meet it, it's kind of like, you failed, and people are hesitant to start that again. So taking it little steps by little steps every day-ish, I think is a fantastic, way to approach something that may be new. And then also tying it to an existing habit. I think that is very doable for, a lot of people, myself included, because we do certain things every day or every other day. And so it's easy to just add on that extra, 3 to 5 minutes. So very practical advice. Thank you for that. Mm-hmm. And speaking of phones, I am on my phone probably more than I should be, but are there any apps that you like to use to help you wind down, maybe with meditation or breath exercises?
Oh, there are so many wonderful apps. And what's nice is that starting with Insight Timer, which is a free app, certainly there are features where you can add additional services within the app. If you just want a bell at the beginning and a bell at the end and some soft music, and you set the timer for however long you want. And then there are apps that offer more scaffolding, more support. Headspace is a wonderful app. Calm is a wonderful app. And those apps usually run between, I would say, $17 to $20 a month. So it just really depends on what your budget is or your level of commitment. But knowing that Insight Timer is a free one and certainly could be there to support you. What I would say is pick something that works with you and then try to stick with it. So what do I mean by that? I know for myself, I listen to a certain music and a certain bell that starts and ends my practice. And I've been doing that for so many years that now when I just come to the chair that I'm familiar with in the place in my home that I'm familiar with, and I hear that bell, my mind knows what we're going to be doing. And so there is something that, again, takes some time to explore and figure out what does resonate and what you do like. But once you find that thing, I would encourage you to stick with it a little bit. Makes it easier in the beginning in those transitions from being in the world where there is a lot of engagement, right, and activity to coming into that more quiet space.
Awesome, thank you. You're a wealth of knowledge, so I loved having this conversation with you today, and for you guiding us through that the guided meditation. So I can't thank you enough for just sharing your knowledge with us all.
I really appreciate you having me. It's been so much fun.
I know, and it's a great way just to kind of wind down. It's the early afternoon that we're recording this today, so it's a nice way to wind into the rest of the evening. So for me, this time of day, I thought worked pretty well, and so I'm going to try to look to incorporate daily pauses, whenever I can throughout the day. But certainly, just keeping in mind that it's a great way to end the workday, as a lot of us are stressed. Tend to be stressed, from the 8 or 9 o'clock whenever we start to when we end. So it's just something that I can look forward to, I think, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I think I would end with this, Amy, because that you mentioned a very good point, especially with many of us working at home. We don't have the commuting time really as the buffer between work and our home life. I think having some sort of practice at the end of the day before you close the laptop and just move into your family space or your home space, taking those times to just settle your energy and reconnect with your breath is especially helpful. And it happens to be something that people do speak to me all about. Many people, of course, are happy that they don't have to deal with all of the stressors or the frustrations about commuting, but there is something to the morning or the evening commute that does allow for that pause or that space. So we need to be more mindful about creating it for ourselves.
That's a great point. And I think that's a great point to end on today. So I just want to thank our audience for tuning in. Hopefully you found this session useful and you learned something new and interesting. And again, thank you, Jen, so much for sharing your knowledge with us. I had a great time presenting with you and hope to do many more in the future.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you all, and have a great rest of your morning, day, or evening, whatever time you're joining in with us. Thank you.